Hey, what's going on YouTube? Adam C here. Thanks for watching. Adam C Solo on Instagram. And don't forget those promo codes for discounts at Southeast Cichlids and NorthFinUSA.com. So today we're talking about water changes. I'm getting ready to do one here. Most people on African cichlid tanks tend to do 25 to 50% every 1 to 2 weeks. I personally do a lot more than that. I do once a week, and I do 75, 80, 85% almost all the time. I know that comes off as a bit extreme, but let's talk about why I do it that way and how I do it safely for my fish. Alright, so I do have 75% of the water or so removed. I use my handy little pump here. That pump I got from the garden department at Lowe's hardware store. I think it's meant for like an outdoor fountain or something, but it works beautifully for this. So a few things on this type of water change. No, it's not a great idea for everybody. You need to know the type of fish that you have, how hardy they are, what they're used to. So when I add these fish in here, I don't simply start with a 75% water change right out of the gate. I build them up slowly to it. I was at 40%, then 50, then 60, up until I got up to, 70, 80%, just so the fish don't become shocked when I do it. If I would just, do this to a tank for the very first time when I used to do a 40% water change, there's a pretty good chance that you could shock some of the fish. It can harm them. It can certainly kill them. So when I do add a fish to this tank, when I add a new one, I bump this back down to 40 or 50% for a couple weeks, and then I slowly start building up again. So that's one thing to certainly keep in mind when you're doing these large water changes. Another thing to consider when doing these really, really big water changes is that you are able to monitor the temperature of the water going back in. This is a 220 gallon, so if I had done a 20, 30, 40% water change, when I add the water back in, if it's a few degrees off either way, it's not going to be as big of a deal because there's still so much water volume in the tank that that's going to offset a change in the temperature. It might only drop it a degree or two. If you're doing a 70, 80% water change and you add water back in that is too hot or too cold, there's not going to be enough water already in the tank to offset that change, and you're going to freeze or fry your fish very easily. So you really need to stay on top of that. I do, as I pump this back in here, I check it periodically in the sink. Luckily enough for me, my sink does have a leak in it when I'm pumping water back in, so it's very easily to catch a stream of it and test the temperature of it. So a little lucky me on that one. It's time now to start adding water back in. So I use Seachem Safe as my water conditioner. I do use the recommended amount for this full tank size. So right now I'm going to be adding 220 gallons worth of Seachem Safe. I don't measure it, down to the decimal. I just have I get within a certain range where I know I'm close and I dump that in. Never had a problem with that. So Seachem Safe is the way to go for these bigger tanks. If you're doing bigger tanks, water changes on those, and you're not using Seachem Safe, if you're using Seachem Prime or something else, you're probably costing yourself a lot of money. So if you don't use Seachem Safe, certainly look into it. So let's get started with it. Alright guys, so here is my Seachem Safe. So I got the windows open, so you might be seeing a glare. But this stuff, this is 2.2 pounds. I think this cost me $35 on Amazon, and you can also get it at NorthFinUSA.com for a comparable price. And this lasts me like a full year for 10 tanks. If I'm using Prime, and keep in mind, Prime is a great product. If I use Prime for all 10 tanks, I'm going to be poor. So what I'll do now is I just add my treatment of Safe in here. I don't add 75%, of the Safe I will be adding. I'll add in right now 220 gallons worth, just to be safe, no pun intended. Let's sprinkle that in, especially where the water is flowing into the tank. And we're going to let that start filling up now. All filled up now, everybody doing well, as you can see. The last thing I want to do is put in the remainder of my Seachem Safe conditioner, which I've already measured out ahead of time. And that's it. Water change done. The main reason that I do larger water changes than most are a couple reasons. One, especially right now, I'm raising out these Buccochromis heterotania. I want to get them into, breeding age, breeding size, breeding maturity. The faster that they can grow, the sooner they'll get there, and the cleaner the water, the faster they will grow. So for my fish in general, general health is promoted from clean water first and foremost. Followed by that is the food. So I want to give my fish as much clean water as I possibly and safely can do. So this is what works for me. Again, keep in mind, build your fish up to it if this is something you think would be good for your fish. Don't just throw them right into it, going from 40 to 80%. Won't be good for them, won't be good for you, just won't end well at all. And really focus on your temperature if this is something you're looking to do. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and see you next time.